Okay, so I'm going to do a response video here to Philhellenes, and I guess this is sort of a twin response. First to his video called Intelligence Did Guide Human Evolution, and I guess it's also going to be a little bit of a response to his video called Who Would Start a Religion? Okay, first I want to say that Philhellenes is certainly one of the voices that I really respect and value on YouTube, and I've really appreciated so many of the videos that he's made. I've favorited some of his videos, and I enjoyed both of those videos. But I guess I'm a little bit at variance with the account of some of the things that are going on here, and I do have concerns, not as a disagreement so much as finer nuance concerns over some of the implications of what's being said. I guess I'm going to first start with who would ever start. Is it who would ever start? Who would ever start? Who would start a religion? And maybe it's related to this theme of shame that he keeps bringing up on the recent intelligence video, and how people, religious people, dogmatic creationists, they feel shame in the idea that humans evolved from other species of animals and from natural evolution. I think what I would want to say here is that, and I've said this in many videos, I think there is a fact. There is a fact that seems to be underaddressed by Philhellenes. And that fact is what I've been calling, what Ernest Becker would call, I could give you countless thinkers here. Kenneth Burke would be one who I'd want to rely upon, certainly Nietzsche. But the issue is guilt. I think sensitive human beings, in becoming self-aware and reflexive, self-conscious, they have felt at some level the unrepayability of life's gift, and it generates a kind of guilt, and then religion and religious dogma becomes a kind of human fantasy to help level out and manage that unpayable gift and that sense of guilt. See, because if I really realize, which I think it is true, I think it's true that life is a radical gift beyond all repayment. The problem is that dogmatic religion imagines that it can be repaid. It imagines that the covenant is some sort of deal managed and negotiated out. I think that people have imagined a deity or deities because they needed to imagine someone whom they could thank, someone who they could give praise to and say, I'm so thankful that I am and that all this is. Now, the concern about shame and guilt is that I think that there's no way of getting rid of guilt. I think guilt is part of the human condition. We need to prune it from the theological dogma. We need to understand guilt as naturally occurring, and then see how we can manage it, lessen it, be on the lookout for it, the way that it lashes out against the scapegoated other. But I think there are other concerns. And again, I'm going to talk more about Ernest Becker here. The term that Becker uses, and this comes from the work of Freud, it comes from the work of Norman O. Brown, it comes again from Nietzsche, but it's the notion of the causa sui project. Now, the causa sui project is the term that Nietzsche gives for the the attempts of a person or a civilization to make a people that could be of their own making. The notion that humans are of their own making is this sort of causa sui, and in modern society it's become a dominant theme that individuals feel as if they should be their own cause. And as much as I think there is something very right-minded about owning the responsibility that comes with the thoughtfulness and the kind of intelligence that humanity does have and has achieved, I think largely through technologies, literacy, printing, and then subsequent communication technologies. The history of communication technologies is really important here. But I think the concern back to Becker is I think that the more that people try to take themselves as the cause of themselves, the more that they experience indignation and frustration. See, I'm not suggesting that what Philhellenes is saying is not true in some ways. I mean, in some ways, I think he has the right fact under the wrong framework, especially over the origin of religions. From my perspective, it's not simply that older ruling elites who have vested interest hoodwink those youths into it. No, no, no. From my perspective, people emerge into the world, they're yearning for an authoritative disambiguation, they feel the awe and majesty of what is overwhelming to them, and then they willingly submit to cultural orders, and then as they become self-reflexively aware, they emerge having already submitted to orders, and then guilt is encumbered from having, I guess, become complicit to some orders and not aligned to others. Property and institutions of private property, inheritance structure would be the simplest example. And so it has to do as much with the feeling of indebtedness and guilt of a self-aware organism as it has to do with those older elites who are trying to hoodwink and or I guess indoctrinate those people. The issue about are we of our own cost? First, I think the problem is the royal we in this notion of intelligence. I mean, I do fear, intelligence did guide human evolution, but whose intelligence? Well, it was a collective intelligence, and I think that it's an intelligence that isn't necessarily given by genes. See, and so evolution may becomes a kind of mixed metaphor there. The kinds of advancements that humanity has made, from my perspective, they could be lost. They could be um, left by the wayside as people fail to see the obligation to civilize themselves, to cultivate themselves by way of self-fashioning. If we think that intelligence is a given bestowed by genetic structure or by genetic inheritance, it's very different than if I say, well, I need to study and I need to cultivate myself. So I'm understanding the importance of self-cultivation and of owning the responsibilities of being human and of trying to, and I think that's one of the ways that we deal with guilt. We try to give back to the world as best we can. It's an unrepayable gift, but the best you can do is to just try to give to everyone around you, to try to lessen the social injustices that we see all around us. But the problem of this notion that we did it all for ourselves, I think that's kind of a lie. See, I think that's part of the problem, that we did it all. But if I say to you, do you grow your hair? Do you digest your food? The you who could make a baby, is that really the you of volition and choice? No, there's a grand mystery that's wearing us as a mask. And I don't mean some guy, some figure in the sky, nothing like that. No, somehow the cosmos itself has allowed places and moments of itself to emerge out and then in a self-reflexive awareness contemplate itself and I guess its ultimate forms. And the kind of awe and mystery that Philhellenes conveys in his most recent video over what what really has become possible is something that it's beautiful to realize that humans are, that we've come out of nature, we didn't come into it, and we're something that it's doing. We're a perfection of one of its modes of mediations and self-relation. I think all this is just another way to say that I think there are temptations to believe that one is a self cause, and once one does that, one will be able to get rid of guilt and the need to give back to others, as if to be human at its best will be to be well provided for. I really I don't think Philhellenes said that, but I think that's lurking in his argument. And for me, the real question is, can we recover a robust sense of who we are in the sense of being the cosmos, but recognize the kind of ambiguity of our being where we are both autonomous, responsible agents, but we are helplessly dependent little animals who are just a lightning bolt or a flood or a natural disaster away from getting washed right under. Okay, thanks.